oceans roar and the fire burns, Lord, I will not be shaken from the waves on the mountain. There's no place I'd rather be than where you are. All right, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining again today. Topic tonight on the Life Calling and Career Clinic is strategy for living a value-driven life. Strategy for living a value-driven life. Let me remind you that we're still discussing the issue of work. We've talked about work from different sides and from different angles. And this evening, we'll be looking at it from another dimension again. Let me start by saying also that your value in life is largely dependent on the amount of value that you are able to add to yourself. Your value in life is largely dependent on the amount of value you are able to add to yourself. The way you are valued is dependent on the amount of value you are able to add to yourself. Because the amount of value you're able to add to yourself is what determines how much problem you can solve, and the kind of problem you can solve determine how much people value your time. I will say that again. The way your value in life, your value in life is largely dependent on the amount of value you have added to yourself. Because the amount of value you have added to yourself determines the quality of problem you can solve, or determine the complexity of the problem you can solve. And the complexity of the problem you can solve is what determines how much people place value on your time. And that determines how they value you also. If you are not growing in the value addition to yourself, you will not be able to solve problems, thereby creating value that make people to place value on your time. That make people to place value on your time. Nobody will place value on your time if you are not adding value to yourself, because it's going to limit the quality and the quantum of problem that you can solve. You know, you see individual complain as an employee of an organization, complain about the fact that they are not paying me very well. They are not paying me well in that place. They are not, you know, when they say that, what they are saying that they are not hearing is that I am not giving enough value. I am not giving enough value. I am not giving, because if you are giving enough value, if you try to lead that organization, number one, if you are giving enough value, you will be known in the circle, in that sector, in the industry. You will be known. And that means you will have option of other people that need your value. And if you want to lead the organization, what will happen is that they want to pay, ask you to name your price, where you are going to, how much are they paying you there? And some organization will match it. Do you know why they will match it? They will match it because they can see that you are highly valuable. So rather than complain about the fact that I'm not being paid the way I want, remember, the way the value you add to yourself is what determines how much you are valued. Your value in life is largely dependent on the amount of value you are able to add to yourself, because that value you're able to add to yourself is what determines the kind of problem you can solve. Do you know the difference between you and your boss? Even though you might be of the same age, it is because of how much value the organization perceive that they are able to solve, or how much value the organization perceive that they have in themselves. That's what determines how much problem, and this was determined by how much problem they've been able to solve. And that is why they are your boss. Your net worth is dependent on the amount of work you are able to do on yourself. Your net worth is dependent on the amount of work you are able to do on yourself. This is how you get to become more valuable. This is how you become more valuable. The question then is, how do you get this done? You get this done by learning. You get this done by learning. You know, I feel every employee needs to hear this kind of conversation. Because if any employee that feels is not being paid the way you want to be paid, need to hear this kind of conversation. Because sincerely in life, you determine how much you are paid. You determine how much you are paid. If you feel where you are, they are not valuing you, if you are really, really very valuable, other people in that industry should know you and should be looking to hire you. They should be calling you. If you think you are so valuable and where you are right now, they are not valuing you, they're not paying you the way you want, and you feel you are more valuable the way you want, the way they are paying you. If nobody in your industry knows that you are a unique being in that field, if nobody in your industry is calling you to come and work with them, if nobody in your industry is hearing about the exploit you are doing where you are, that means you have an over-bloated value of yourself. That means you have an over-bloated value of yourself. Because nobody in the industry knows you. Nobody in the industry is calling for you. Nobody in the industry is asking for you to come and be with them or to come and join them. If nobody is asking for that, and you think you are not being paid the way you deserve, I tell you today, you have an over-bloated value of yourself. And we need to be very frank with ourselves. That, look, I need to develop myself. I need to add value to myself. Do you know that the difference between you and your boss, even though you might be of the same age, might be the value they've added to themselves that make them to solve more problems than you do. The amount of value you have been able to add to yourself, determine your income, determine your status, and determine the respect that you command in the society. It determines your income, it determines your status, and the respect you command in the society. To work on yourself and add value to yourself, you must begin with holistic evaluation of yourself. Holistic evaluation of yourself. Maybe you have had an over-bloated value of yourself. You must have an holistic evaluation of yourself. You will realize who you have become is not who you are created to be. All that you see in yourself today is what the environment are putting you. You now need to begin to deliberately add value to yourself. You now need to begin deliberately add value to yourself. Always remember this. Always remember this. Whenever as an employee, you think you can be paid, you worth much more than you are being paid. Always remember. Always remember. If you think you worth much more than you are being paid, always remember that if nobody in the industry is calling for you, willing to pay you much more, that idea of the value you think you have is an over-bloated value. Because if you are creating enough value in the organization, I tell you, many more people will be calling for you. You'll be having more than enough offers. Because what you are doing, people are going to see the uniqueness of the value in that organization. They are going to ask, which staff of that organization is behind that idea? And they are going to discover you are the one. And then they want you in the organization. And then they want you in the organization. And then they want you in the organization. Who you have become today is what Nigeria has made of you. You can be much more valuable than this. You can be much more valuable than this. The environment will make you to think this is the best you can get of yourself. But that's not true. This is what Nigeria has made of you. Think of twins from the same womb, born on the same day, to the same parent, separated at birth, with one in Nigeria and the other in France. Check them out 20 years after. Bring them together. You know what you'll notice? They will be entirely different human beings, different belief system, different language understood, different worldview, different value system, different languages, 20 years apart from the same womb, but the outcome are different. This is because what you become in life is determined by the environment which affects your experience in life. What you have become in life is determined by environment, experience, and education. And your environment influences your experience and education. There are some experiences you never had because you are in Nigeria. Your environment influences your experience and education. Your environment influences your experience and education. Your environment influences your experience and education. The experience affects your knowledge about life. And this consequently determines your belief system. Your knowledge of life is based on the education and experience. You see, that knowledge of life is what affects what you believe, what you hold as true. That belief system affects the things you value. Do you know why you joined tonight? It's because you value knowledge. Do you know why you value knowledge? Because you believe knowledge is power. Do you know why you believe knowledge is power? It's because of the experiences you've had. The kind of people around you that make you to believe that knowledge is power. That make you to believe that knowledge is power. So you need to realize this. That look, the environment affects your experience affects your belief affects the things you value affect the choices you make. And the choices you make is what makes us different. Our choices in life is what makes us different. Your choice to go to school makes you different from your peers that did not go to school. Your choice to learn that skill makes you different from your friends, your age mates, or your peers that do not learn that skill. The question then is, who are you? Who are you? Remember, who you are today is based on what Nigeria environment are put in you. This is not who God created, but rather what environment like Nigeria has made of you. So you need to realize this and then recreate yourself. All of us as human beings owe it to ourselves to recreate ourselves. To recreate ourselves. But to do this, you need to get a prototype with which you recreate yourself. If you are going to recreate yourself, then you must have a vision of what you want to be like. There must be a prototype. You must have a vision of what you want to be like. There must be a prototype. So that you have that value within you. There must be a prototype. There must be something you want to be like. The model that you have to use to recreate yourself is God, because you are made in his image and in his likeness. You are made in his image and his likeness. Remember, you need to evaluate yourself. And the reason for that self-evaluation is to find things that does not match up with what God expects you to be. You might discover that you are not, that you are right now, that what you are right now, or who you are right now, is just about 10% of who you are meant to be. That is where adding value to yourself becomes necessary. So make a list of the things that are qualities, values, character, traits that is in God as described in scriptures. Identify that character trait in you that you are supposed to be, but you are not. Remember, the model is in whom image and likeness you were created. He is a creative God. How creative are you? How creative are you? He has the spirit of wisdom, of knowledge, of understanding, of counsel, of might. Which of these traits do you have in yourself? Identify that character trait that is deficient in you. You also need to discover yourself and find those that have done very great in that area that you believe you are called to. Identify the quality in them that make them to become so great. Do the same thing for different areas of your life. Find those things in that area and the quality that make them tick. Every one of us became who we are on the basis of what we hear, what we see, and what we do. Every one of us has become whatever we have become today on the basis of what we hear, what we see, and what we do. That is what has made us become who we are today. So just the way you are a product of what you eat, your body. So you are a product of what you listen to. You are a product of what you eat. You are a product of what you eat. You should not eat because you want to eat. You should eat because you need nutrients. Unfortunately, people eat because they want to fill their tummy. But you know, you are what you eat. You are what you eat. You are what you eat. You know, there's a book I've recommended on this platform in the past. The book is titled Never Be Sick Again. Never Be Sick Again. Never Be Sick Again. That's the name of that book. I forgot the name of the author, but you can always check it online. Talking about what to eat. We are all what we eat. We are all what we eat. Now, physically, but we are all what we listen to, what we read. We all have become what we read, who we listen to. You know, there are some people, they have listened to someone for so long, they've so much imbibed that person, they speak like those people. And this is common for a number of churches in Nigeria. There are some members of those churches speak like them. Do you know why? We become who we speak, who we listen to. We become what we listen to. We become what we listen to. Just the way you are a product of what you eat in your body, so also what you listen to in your mind. You are a product of what you listen to in your mind. Your eyes and your ears are gateway to your heart. Your eyes and your ears are gateway to your heart. Your eyes and your ears are gateway to your heart. Your eyes and your ears are gateway to your heart. The information you are exposed to in your environment that you embrace is what determines how you think, how you talk, and how you live. The information you are exposed to in your environment that you have also embraced determine how you think, how you talk, and how you live. It determines how you think, how you talk, and how you live. This is why circumstances are always overrated. Because the way you see that circumstances around you is based on your exposure growing up. Circumstances are always overrated. Circumstances are always overrated. Reality. Even though might appear true, it's not the truth about you. Reality, even though might appear true, it's not the truth about you. Circumstances are always overrated. Reality, even though might appear true, it's not the truth about you. It is the duty of human spirit to outgrow known self. Circumstances are always overrated. The reason why it's overrated is because you are seeing it from your own spectacle. If someone else sees that situation, it won't be as terrified as you are terrified. It won't be as worried as you are worried. Why? Because he didn't see the situation the way you are seeing it. Circumstances are always overrated. Reality you see today might be true, but it's not the truth. True can change. Truth does not change. The truth about you is that in Christ, you can do all things through Christ that strengthens you. The truth about you is that all things work together for good. What truth have you embraced? The truth about you is that what God would have prevented in his power, he allowed in his wisdom. That is the truth. Reality is not truth. It is the duty of human spirit through value addition and personal development to outgrow known self. It is the duty of human spirit through personal development and value addition to outgrow known self. What do you know yourself to be? You can outgrow it. The pattern of the way you respond in different situations in life is an indication of your exposure and your environment. The pattern of the way you respond. If you are startled, if you are terrified, if you are worried, if you are disturbed, if you are sad, if you are depressed, or you are excited at the sight of challenges, excited at the sight of challenges, excited at the sight of challenges. It's all about perspectives. It's all about perspectives. It's all about perspective. How are you seeing that situation? Are you seeing it at the end of the world? Or you are seeing it as an opportunity to learn new idea, wisdom, knowledge, skill to overcome that challenge? Knowing this pattern to be wrong based on the prototype make you to begin to look out for the right pattern to follow in your life. If the way you respond is not the way Jesus will respond, it's not the way the person you are made in his image and likeness will respond, that means something is wrong that have influenced our makeup in our journey of life. So when you are not okay because of the way things are happening in your life, that is a sign that there is a need for adjustment. Another thing that affects who you are or who you have become is the value system that you have exposed to. The value system. Do you know when someone is worried? The level of worry and anxiety in your life is directly proportional to the gap between your expectation and your reality. The society has created an expectation that we have embraced. The society created an expectation that we have embraced. The gap between it, the closer your expectation is to your reality, the less stress you are in life. The less stress you have. The less stress you have. There's a value system in Nigeria that says that you have to be in government or have something to do with government for you to be wealthy. That's a value system. That's a belief system, rather. That's a belief system. So that belief system is breeding corruption. That belief system is breeding corruption. That belief system is breeding corruption. It's making the country to be backward. Why? For you to be able to be wealthy, you must have something to do with government. There is a value system among believers that you need to sow a seed and pay first fruit for you to be blessed. It's a belief system. It's a belief system. What they are not asking themselves is, those in the world who are not Christian, who are the ones hiring them to pay and sow that seed, how are those people succeeding? How are they doing it? How are they doing it? Those people just follow the principle of life, period. Principle of life put in place by God himself. Principle of life put in place by God himself. Another belief system is the reason for working. Another belief system is the reason for working. If you have been following this platform for a while, you will know by now that you are not working to earn, you are working to learn. W-O-R-K, work, way of rewarding know-how. W-O-R-K, work, way of rewarding know-how. W-O-R-K, work, way of rewarding know-how. If you believe you are working to pay bills, then grow old, retire, and die, that's a wrong belief system. The goal of working is for human capacity development in order to be able to fulfill their calling on the earth. The goal of work should be human capacity development. Human capacity development. There's another belief system among believers that stop them from adding value to themselves. They say 1 day of favor is better than 10 years of labor. 1 day of favor is better than 10 years of labor. This is breeding lazy believers, miracle mentality believers. And this is making them not to be able to realize their potential, because they are going to leave what they are supposed to do themselves into the hand of God to do. So Paul said, I labor more abundantly than they all. Oh, Paul is not favored? Paul is not favored? Is Paul not favored? Paul said, I labored more abundantly than they all. And you say Paul is not favored? And you say Paul is not favored? Jesus said, my Father worketh and hitherto I work. My Father worketh and hitherto I work. My Father worketh, he said, I must work the work of him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. That is Jesus talking. I must work the work of him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. That's Jesus talking. And some believers don't believe in work because they think work is cost. Because they think work is cost. There is a value system that make people not to, a belief system that make people not to see the need in their environment. They don't see the need in their environment. You know, I was in church a time ago and someone asked a question. He said, if you need to pay your tithe and your neighbor is in need. In fact, he said, I think he even said your mother is in need or something. And he said, what are you supposed to do? I said, the reason why you're asking what you're supposed to do is because you think if you use that money to solve problem for another human being, you are not giving it to God. Even though Jesus himself said, when you solve problem for others, you are doing it for me. Can you see belief system? This will make someone to have money and not be able to support who they are supposed to support because of religion. So ask yourself, what belief system have you embraced that is affecting you? What belief system that is making it difficult for you to add value to yourself? Value to yourself. Remember, you are created in his image and his likeness. He is the prototype. He is the prototype. What are the products of the principle that guide the way you have chosen to live your life? Because our principle actually dictates our decisions. Wherever you are right now is based on the principle you have practiced, what you have held as true. Is it working at all? Your decisions are based on principles that are either very loud or silent, upon which you are living your life right now. Upon which you are living your life right now. Upon which you are living your life right now. Therefore, people believe that the way to treat someone they don't like is to pray for him to die. Do you know we are a sum total of information we have listened to, the pattern of life we have lived, the value system we hold, and the principle we live our life by? How do you then know that you have to change the information, the pattern, the value, the principle that guide your life? How do you know? You need to check the result of the information. You need to check the result of the pattern. You need to check the result of the belief system. You need to check the result of the principle that is guiding your life. If the result is good, go ahead with it. If the result is not good, it's time for you to begin to develop yourself and add more knowledge to yourself, value to yourself through the knowledge you have acquired. This is why we constantly need self-evaluation. If I'm going to live a value-driven life, there is need for constant self-evaluation. So you know when you are not adding enough value to yourself, because the information influence the way you think, influence the pattern of the way you live, influence your belief system and the principle you hold as true. But the idea is this: who do you want to become? What are the qualities expected of such an individual? And what are you doing right now? What are you doing right now to be able to achieve it? And the strategy is identifying who you want to become. Identifying what they have in terms of quality. Remember when we started, I said, and I'll repeat it for those just joining. Anytime you think that where you are working, you are not being paid the way you think you deserve, always remember that you might be having an over-bloated value of yourself. Because if you are really valuable, other organizations in that field should be looking for you because of the value you are creating where you are right now. They should be looking for you. If they are not looking for you, you might be having an over-bloated value of yourself. If you don't like what you are, what your life looks like right now, and you continue to listen to the same thing you listen to, you continue to live the same way you have always lived, which have created bad results, Nothing will change in your life until you change the information, the way you live your life, your belief system, and the principle that guide your life. Your belief system and the principle that guide your life. Nothing will change until you change information you receive into your mind, the pattern of life you live, the belief system you hold, and the principle that guide your action. If I say to you, come, and you come to me, you can only change what the person is doing by telling him to go, or sit, or run, for him to begin to do something new. So new information change the result in our life. I told you, come, you came. If I say go, you go. What you are hearing is dictating what you are doing. New information change the result in our life. That is what happened in our life. Until the information you are exposed to change, nothing will change. The way to live a value-driven life is to be deliberate about the kind of information you allow into your life. Until the pattern with which you live your life change, nothing will change. Until the belief system you hold change, nothing will change. Until the principle that guide your life change, nothing will change. Paul said to the Roman believers that transformation, a change, only occur in you when you have been able to successfully renew your mind. When you have been able to successfully renew your mind. When you have been able to successfully renew your mind. When you have been able to successfully renew your mind through new information. New information. New information. Always ask that self-evaluation. Where am I right now? Is this where I want to be? If no, what am I doing? Number one, where do I want to go? What are the quality of people in that place I want to go? What are the quality they have? What am I doing right now to achieve that quality? What information am I getting into myself? How am I living my life? What belief system am I holding in my head? What principle is driving the way I live my life? What principle is driving it? Be ye transformed by renewing of your mind. Be ye transformed by renewing of your mind. Be ye transformed by renewing of your mind. Self-evaluation and making necessary change. When people think that the course of their life can just change based on what someone said to them, when they shout, amen. If someone believes that the course of your life will just change without you doing anything about it, then that person does not understand life and the way God created us to live. The person does not understand life and the way God created to live. The person does not understand the fact that there is a law of personal responsibility that says that God will only do for you. God will never do for you what he has given you the capacity and intellect to do for yourself. If he has given you the capacity and intellect to do it, guys, ladies and gentlemen, you have to do it. You have to do it yourself. You have to do it yourself. Please note that nothing will change until you change the information. You want to live a value-driven life? Change the information you listen to. You want to live a value-driven life? Change your belief system. You want to live a value-driven life? Change the pattern of your life. By pattern, I mean, when you wake up, what do you do? when you are less busy? What takes your time? What do you spend most of your time doing? Value-driven life. Value-driven life. What do you spend most of your time doing? Your idle time. What do you do at that time? What is the pattern of your life? It is 7 p.m. now. From 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., how have you lived today? And how do you typically live your Saturdays? Let's assume during the week you go to work or you go to school. What do you do generally on Saturdays? And how about Sunday? How do you live your Sunday? How do you do it? How do you do it? How do you do it? How do you live your Sunday? The way you live it determines the outcome of your life. Nothing will change until you change the information you are exposed to. Value-driven life. What information do you expose yourself to? This is why self-evaluation is important. I keep repeating it. Self-evaluation, so that you are deliberate about the kind of stuff you listen to. You are deliberate about the kind of stuff you listen to. You are deliberate about it. You know what is deficient in your life? Is it in your management of your resources? You notice you earn income, but look, you don't know how to keep it. Is it in the value you create at work? What is it that you notice you are deficient in? Where do you really see yourself in future? And what do you need to do to get there? Where do you see yourself in future? And what do you really need to do to get there? Where do you see yourself? And what do you really need to do to get there? No matter the emotion you express or the amen you shout and declaration made on you, nothing will change because of that. Nothing will change because of that. Because of that, nothing will change, because that is what you have been hearing for so many years, and it has kept you till this time. So as that declaration is made, what are you doing to align with that declaration? Or you just say amen and keep quiet and do nothing? Or you align with it in your attitudinal cooperation with, even if it's a prophecy on your life, if your attitudinal cooperation is wrong, nothing will happen. But if the attitudinal cooperation is right, then something will happen, because you are making effort in that direction. Nothing will change until you change the content that is within you, because you can only be transformed you can only be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Until you begin to focus on principle that God has made available for success in scriptures, the life and situation of people will not change. So how then do we live a value-driven life? Have a mental picture of the future you desire. Look at what is deficient in your life today that you need to add to get there. Begin to bring in information that directs you, lead you in that value you want to create in yourself, in that picture you want to see yourself become. Begin to live your life with patterns: when you sleep, when you wake up, how long you spend learning, what you do outside work or outside school, the pattern of your life, what you engage with during your spare time, the pattern of your life. And then, of course, the belief you hold. Because, you know, no matter what you want to do in life, if the belief system is wrong, it just limits even you trying. In fact, your belief limits how much effort you even put in, because you already believe you can't do it. So it doesn't matter how much effort you put in, nothing will change, nothing will happen. And that makes it difficult for you to be able to do anything meaningful in life. Remember the principles also that guide the way we live our life. Until the information you're exposed to change, nothing will change. Until the pattern you live your life with change, nothing will change. Until the belief system that you hold as true change, nothing will change. And until the principle which you should live your life change, nothing is going to change. All right, everyone, thank you very much for being able to make it tonight. Thank you for joining. Yes, Favor, how are you? Long time. What have you learned tonight? Hello, Favor, are you there?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. I'm fine, thank you. That's good. I've actually learned a lot tonight. One of the key things I took away is the fact that I had to work on myself, on my value. And when you talked about the if a person thinks is being paid less, then it means that maybe the person has an overblotted understanding of what his or her value is. It brings my mind to the fact that building oneself and working on oneself is the most important bit if you want to be valued and if you want to be seen as valuable. Brilliant. So if the organization thinks that you are worth it, you are worth or whatever you bring to the table is actually impacting and making, then they should be ready to actually pay for that value.
Yes.
That's one. And the other bit I learned to evaluate my life, evaluate myself, check my activities. When you were talking about the weekends, I just started to reflect a bit on myself and say, okay, on Saturdays, what do I do? On Sunday, what happens? I think again, sometimes in our minds, maybe I'll speak for myself. I probably will think, Saturday, I would have every other activities, chores, too many things. We get busy with so many other things that are not important. So it's like on Sunday it's service, and then after church, every other thing again. Before you know it, the day is gone.
Yeah.
But if I'm able to plan intentionally and look at it and say, what do I want to do with my Saturday? It means that I will intentionally plan. And most times, if we do that, whenever we take our time to do that, we actually achieve those things. And we don't start saying, oh, there's no time. There's no time because we've not allotted time to what we intend to do or what we intend to achieve at that point in time. So my takeaway from today is that I will intentionally plan my weekends going forward so that I can see, okay, this number of hours, I would use it to improve on myself or to do something about my building myself and making myself better so that I can be able to reach out to others and also touch other lives. I think I also took something away from the tithe when you mentioned about the question around tithe. Because we grow hearing the same thing, just like what you said, where you keep hearing something. We keep hearing those things and we don't bother getting more information as to whether those things are correct or how those things were practiced or why it's like that. I think tithing is still a very sensitive area. And I think a lot of clarity is still required, especially for Christians, even for people who claim to be believers, true believers, because we think that if we tithe in a particular way, we are not giving that money to God. So I see somebody who is going through pains, who is going through something, and maybe needs, say for instance, 10,000 to solve that thing. And then I say to myself, no, this my 50,000 must go to God. This my amount of money God needs it that way. I think because we just have that understanding and we do it religiously, like we want to please God, like if we don't do it. But again, they also tells with the scriptures where they say, you have robbed God. So a person thinks in his mind and says, oh, that means if I don't give this money to the church, it means that I have robbed God of the money. But truly, I believe, like what I've learned today, or what I've heard you say, that if you actually reach out to that human being, to that person you're seeing who is going through that pain, with that money that you should have assumed you are saying, oh, this is tight, God will be happier to lift that burden off that person And who knows, perchance the person has even been praying to God and asked and saying, send a solution. So you would now be that solution that God is actually using to touch that life, rather than just say, I'll give this money to the church as my tithe. So I'm also working on myself on certain areas and trying to also check for myself those things that are those doctrines, those things we've heard over time. I'm trying to look at those things now and go to the Bible and really read and really understand and try to build myself to be able to make decisions rightly, so that it's not based on what I assume or what I have heard over time that it's expected, but what God really expects of me to be able to live a value-driven life.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Hello, Sam. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How are you?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. What have you learned tonight?
I learned that as believers, God has made promises and blessings available for us, and He has already played His own part by fulfilling. He has played His own part by blessing us with His blessings. So, our own part we need to play is to put our faith and work to action in order for the blessing to come to us. Because if we have faith and we do not put action to it, we do not work towards it, there's no way the blessings will come to us.
All right, thank you.
And I also learned that we are what we believe, what we see, and what we watch. And we should be careful of what we see and what we also hear. Negative things can also affect us, and positive things can also affect us.
Yes, we are actually what we hear, what we see, and what we do. And we need to be extremely careful as far as those are concerned. Chooks. Chooks, how are you? Good evening. Hello, Chooks. Can you hear me? Hello, Chooks.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Okay, so I learned quite a number of things. So first of, I will start from the renewing of the mind. I found it very important because we are in a world that is rapidly changing, and so there are so many things that come and grab our attention. So the renewing of the mind is, if there's any time it is urgent or very important, is in this time and age, because renewing our mind with God's word brings God's promises to the center of our attention, even above the circumstances we may be going through. And so I also got really excited with the part of favor and labor, because it has always been something I've found difficult. You know, when you made that statement of what Christians usually say that 1,000 days of labor is compared to 1 day of favor. And then I was wondering, what does favor really mean? Because juxtapose it to Paul the Apostle, he also emphasized, I said, he labored more abundantly than almost every one of them. So it's got me thinking that maybe our labor is directly proportional to the kind of favor we receive from God. And so there is no special place for anyone without necessarily putting in the work. For example, taking the children of Israel, when they moved in from the Egypt, and all through their journey, they were being fed with manna and everything. But the Bible said immediately they got to Canaan, the manna ceased. So God knew that they had ability to work and to take care of themselves and to plant and everything. So that means in our world today, as Christians, the principle guiding us should be that work and labor is synonymous with God's favor. So I think that's what I learned. And then finally, the take-home point I got was the information we receive. Our life will not change except we change the information we receive. The our pattern the pattern of belief system we choose to embrace for ourselves, and then finally the principle that guide our actions. So I think you really emphasized that and it's stuck in my head. So thank you so much, sir.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Glory, how are you? Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Long time.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes. Sir. Thank you very much for today's section, sir. I was really blessed, sir. Yes, sir. All right. From today's section, I got to hold on again to the fact that what we listen to determine what we become in life, and it will gradually forms our belief system. So if we listen to the right thing, we'll have a good belief system. And also learned about we need to have a hand. We must have a future of which we are looking at, and also try to measure our results time to time, because those are the things that determine if we are following the right value system of listening to the right things and everything. So I need to evaluate myself based on the result I have. That also brings into place when someone has a job and is not being paid well, he needs to look into his values. His value is how he is valued. That will determine that, basically. Then you also taught us about we should have a good pattern that would also help us to get to an expected end. Basically, those are the major highlights I got from today, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Kalu, appear and reappear. David, long time.
Good evening, sir.
Oh, business.
Oh, business, you.
Oh, business.
Right on, sir. So we have so much missed you.
We have
missed our live calling and career clinical. Well, so I think anytime I miss off this program, I felt as if something I could have used to upgrade is missing out. But well, tonight's one is just on fire, honestly. You know, I just laid 3 points that I think I will have to add to my life and, you know, just move along with it. So the first one is this. I learned the fact that, it says that what you take in will definitely tells what you will become in life. That is, the information you take in will shows out, will prove what you become in life or how you express yourself in a society or environment where you find yourself. Then the second one, I think I have a mental picture of what I want to become in life. But at this point, I think I also need to evaluate it if I'm working in accordance of that, you know, that picture I have in mind. That's what I think. That's the big problem. I think I have to evaluate again. Yes, I have the picture I've created. I say, I want to become this. I want to do this. I want to do that. But I have to, you know, evaluate myself again to know, David, are you working in accordance of this thing? Are you doing what I ought to do daily? You know, in a second, in a minute, I have to do that to confirm if I'm really working about that. Then the third one, thank you for reminding me about that principle again. That I forgot for a very long period of time. You know, the principle about it's not about praying. It's not about how your voice is high in hallelujah or amen. God will not do for you what he has given you the capacity and intellect to do for yourself. So it's a big one to take it from me. I so much appreciate, sir. Thanks so much. Thanks so much. I appreciate you, sir.
All right, thank you. Thank you for coming tonight. Nii, welcome back. How are you?
Yeah.
Good evening. Are you in a noisy place again today? All right, I think Nii is not able to talk tonight. Thank you very much, everyone, for being able to make it tonight. We'll continue. You know, there's a new series I said we'll start in 2 weeks. I have 1 month to do on work, and that's next week on living in your own prison to fulfill your calling. Living in your own prison to fulfill your calling. And I will explain what I mean by your own prison when we meet next week. And then from upper week, you know, I told you I have a new topic and it's called a fresh look at prayers. A fresh look at prayers. It's going to be for almost 6 months. Almost 6 months, as in, and the idea is just for us to have the right perspective to prayer, so that we don't abuse prayer like many have abused prayer today, but we use it to achieve God's purpose, not what we want for ourselves, but rather what God really wants us to do with our calling on the earth. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful weekend. See you next week, and bye-bye.
Yeah, thanks so much, Shaf. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.